Welcome to Module 11, How to Be a Goal-Getter. Now, this is where the 100 Days program starts to shift. The teaching modules start to get a little shorter. The action steps start to get a little longer. Now, this module is dedicated to how to be a goal-getter. A little over 30 years ago, I got exposed to goal setting, and it has categorically changed the arc of the rest of my life. Once I started setting goals, I started reaching goals, and my confidence grew. The more my confidence grew, the bigger the goals I set, and the greater the accomplishments. A goal-getter is someone who not only sets goals, but does what it takes to achieve them. Now, goal setting has not only transformed my life, but for the past 25 years, every seminar and training program that I've taught has had goal setting built into it. And we've had more than 3 million people set goals. And the results have been transformational. So let's dive right in. Let's talk about what a goal actually is. Well, according to Mr. Webster, it's the end to which all effort is directed. The end to which all effort is directed. So let's talk about how to be a goal-getter. 3 main points as normal. First, why we need goals. Second, why we miss our goals. And third, how to set SMART goals. So why we need goals, why we miss them, and then we're going to talk about setting SMART goals. Let's take a look at the power of goal setting. There's a very famous Harvard study. It was done of the Harvard Business School of the class of 1979. And they followed the trajectory of these graduates. Now, if you think about it, you have Harvard students, they're pretty well set up in a lot of ways. 1979, they've been tracking these people now for decades. But the outcomes for these people were very different. They all had a great start in life, graduating from Harvard. But where they ended up, very different. 27% ended up on outside support. Then they needed additional revenue to support them. 60% of those graduates were barely getting by. Not a great endorsement for Harvard. 10% were living comfortably, and 3% were independently wealthy based on their own work. Crazy stuff. So what are the differences between these groups? Well, the top 3% had set clearly defined goals and had placed them in writing. Clearly defined goals and placed them in writing. The next 10% who were doing okay, they had goals in mind, but they had no written plans for their accomplishment. The 60% that were barely getting by, they sometimes were wishing for things, but because they didn't have goals, their wishes merely remained dreams. And the bottom 27% had no goals except to exist. They spent a lifetime depending on outside help. Crazy. Now, if that happens to that group, well, what is going to happen for the rest of us? We've got to make sure that we are looking forward. We've got to make sure that we're setting goals that we can visualize, that we can see. They've got to be clearly defined, and they must be in writing. A wonderful quote says, "Those who stare at the past have their backs turned to the future." We have to focus on goals. So why do we need them? Well, first of all, they clarify what you really want. What you really want. What you're really working for. What you're willing to sacrifice for. What you're willing to do. My mentor, Jim Rohn, used to say, if you really want to do something, you'll find a way. If you don't, you'll find an excuse. Goals make you really want to do something. The next thing they do is they create a mental picture to focus your energies. A mental picture to focus your energies. A picture's worth 1,000 words. And when you have that picture in mind, and that's why the more visual your goals can be, the more visual representation of your goals. I have goal boards where I cut out pictures and print off images of places I want to go, the things I want to do, goals I want to achieve. And I have those pictures in front of me in a goal board that I'm looking at all the time. Ultimately, when you have a goal, what it does is it brings into life one of the most powerful attributes of success, and it's the word focus. You know, Bill Gates and Warren Buffett, when they first met, it was actually at Bill Gates' mom's and dad's home. And Bill Gates' dad slid across 2 sheets of paper to the 2 richest men in the world at the time and said, I want you to write down one word that's contributed to your success. Well, this was the first time these guys had ever met. They both picked up their pens, wrote on the paper, slid it back to Bill Gates' dad. He picked it up. It was the same word, and it was the word focus. A great acrostic for the word focus is follow one course until success. Follow one course until success. How about this? How about you follow the 100 days course until success? How about you follow the action steps and the real estate ready steps and those tasks until you become successful in this program? Focus. The last thing about goals is they unlock the power of our subconscious mind. Some call it the unconscious mind. Are you aware that up to 80% of our actions actually come out of our unconscious mind? Well, when you create a picture with your goals of what you really want, and it's real clear to you, and it's defined, it creates a picture in your mind. And even in your sleep, your mind is working towards those goals. Thomas Jefferson said, nothing can stop the person with the right mental attitude from achieving their goal, and nothing on earth can help the person with the wrong mental attitude. Have that goal, have the right attitude, and away you go. Now let's talk about why we miss our goals. The first reason is there's a lack of motivation. There becomes a lack of motivation. Now for me, it's a bit of a chicken and egg story. You see, you have to write goals that have some juice to them. You have to write goals that motivate you. You have to write goals that go, oh my gosh, that would be awesome. That would be great. If only I could get there. If only I could achieve that. That'll create some juice for you. And then you need to feed it with motivation. That has to be constant. And motivation doesn't last a long time. That's why you have to do it daily, okay? It's like taking a shower, okay? Bathing doesn't last a long time, neither does motivation. That's why we have to constantly do it. Henry Ford, the great American industrialist, said, whether you think you can or you think you can't, you're right. So we got to make sure we have the right motivation. The next thing is this lack of perceived progress, okay? And we've talked about this, why you need to track your activities, because you might not feel like you're moving forward, but you're on the right track. You got to make sure that you know that you're tracking your activities so that you know you're having some momentum, and momentum is powerful. John Maxwell says momentum solves 80% of your problems because it gives you that feeling that the wind is in your hair, that you're actually moving forward and you're making progress towards your goal. Now, another reason why we miss our goals is not that we intentionally say, I'm going to screw up my life. I'm going to get broke. I'm going to get fat. I'm going to get miserable. No one sets out goals like that. But here's what does happen. A very deadly killer, and it's called drift. We simply drift away from where we're desiring to go. How do we do it? Well, you miss a day. And then you miss another day. You miss out on writing a few personal notes. You miss out on making a few calls. You miss out on doing a few Popeyes. You miss out on doing a little exercise. You miss out on eating good for a day. And the next thing you know, another day and another day. And then you wake up and you go, how the heck did I get here? The great Irish playwright George Bernard Shaw said, to be in hell is to drift. To be in heaven is to steer. And if you're steering, you have to be steering towards something. And for me, that's a goal. The third part here is about setting smart goals. Smart goals. And there's, again, very, very famous acrostic. This actually came out of that Harvard study originally. Goals should be SMART. That means specific and written. They have to be specific and they have to be in writing, not goals in mind. Next, they should be measurable. That means they're measurable in progress and completion. Next, there should be an achievable outcome. Okay, it's something you can get done. Realistic in time and skill. Realistic in time and skill. And then there's a time-based achievement. A time-based achievement. Let me share with you my favorite goal of all time. It's when John F. Kennedy spoke at Rice University. And he said, we're going to put a man on the moon and bring him safely to Earth by the end of the decade. We're going to put a man on the moon, very specific, had measurable progress and completion, an achievable outcome, realistic in time and skill. We're going to bring him back safely to Earth by the end of the decade, a time-based achievement. And Americans put a man on the moon in July of 1969. It's the most remarkable goal I've ever heard of. When I got a chance to interview Neil Armstrong, and I talked about the complexity of it all, he said, you know, the reason we were able to achieve that goal is every night when we went home, we looked up and looked outside. We saw our goal in front of us. Our goal was in front of us. We want to put a man up there, bring him safely to Earth, and do it within this period of time. Your goals need to be that clear to you. Well, we've established a couple of goals for you with the 100 Days program. For a start, we said minimum of 1 closed sale and a minimum of 2 pending sales in this first 100 days. Now, we're early on into the program, but we got to start doing the activities to generate those leads that are going to produce those kind of transactions. We have a checklist for reaching your goal, okay? Complete all training action steps and all the real estate ready tasks. So you have action steps and the tasks to be that capable realtor. Next, 100 sorted and qualified relationships in your database. Keep working on your database. Keep adding names day by day, whether it's the mayor campaign, whether it's to doing open houses, whatever methodologies you're going to use, add people to your database. Everywhere you go, waiters and waitresses, add people to your databases. Keep racking your brain. There's people you've still forgotten about that need to be in your database. The next 3 months of mailings and e-reports are in place. You're ready to go. We've given you these. You know when you're going to send them out, and you're prepping to do it. Plan the next 12 months of your pop buys. We gave you the calendar. We've given you the tags. Start planning out your pop buys. Here's a challenge for you towards reaching your goal. Watch every training module. You know, I got dressed up for you, got showered up, ready to go. I'm pouring a lot of effort and energy into this for you because each one of these modules, we're giving you nothing you don't need and taking away everything else that would just confuse you or complicate this business for you. A couple of short things. Memorize the mayor campaign and the new agent dialogues, okay? These are the checklists to reaching that goal of 1 closed, 2 pending. Couple more things. Prioritize each day and schedule each week for the next 10 weeks, right? So schedule it. Win the day and win the week for the next 10 weeks. Now, what do we need? 2 hours a day to win the day, right? And 4 days a week to win the week. Can you do that for the next 10 weeks? Hold 2 open houses and add 3 buyers to your database. Hold 2 open houses and add 3 buyers to your database. Next, watch all the Referral Maker CRM tutorials, right? You're just sitting back, watching them, take it a little bit at a time, take some good notes, watch the tutorials. And track all activity in the Referral Maker CRM. No matter how small the activities you've gotten done, keep a track of them. It will make such a difference for you. Now, we have a little exercise in your workbook for you. It's called the Just Imagine exercise. We've done a sample for you. And it's designed to kind of create a word picture for you, but we obviously want you to do your own, where it has a little more emotion for you and it's a little personalized for you. And as soon as this module ends, I'm going to ask you to immediately do the Just Imagine exercise. So this is written as if you're finished with 100 days. So it's hooray. I just finished 100 days to greatness. I feel empowered. I'm real estate ready. Working by referral aligns with my personal values. I've received 3 referrals, 2 buyers, and 1 seller. I feel so confident interacting with these clients. I know exactly what to say and do. I'm working the referral system, and it's working for me. When I focus on winning the day, it's not so overwhelming, and I'm on pace to establish myself in the business. There's a great feeling of accomplishment having put in place my next 12 months worth of marketing and the mailings, personal notes, and pop buys. I love being in business for myself. I'm so glad I chose to get into this business. It's right up my alley. Now, that's just a sample, but I'm going to encourage you immediately following today's module, sit down and write out a Just Imagine scenario for yourself and put some juice to it, okay? Allow yourself to dream a little bit. And what do you really hope for? Best case scenario. Just by the end of this course, where do you want to be, all right? Well, again, we've helped so many people in this spot. And it's time for one of these good life stories. And this one, again, a San Diegan, Candace Kolb. And Candace started out where later in life, she changed careers. And she was working in a profession and an industry she didn't like, but she decided to change careers and jump into real estate. And she started with us. She came to one of our seminars and jumped into our coaching program. And again, a lot of these good life stories, you'll hear people talking about coaching. The real purpose here is to show you that somebody can start here and get all the way to here. She became a Rookie of the Year in her office and then went on to continually not only grow her business, but set more goals. Now, the reason I'm sharing this good life story with you is Candace's goals involved a lot of travel and time with her family. And so she built her goals around, if I do this and this and this production, I make this kind of money, then I want to take this time off. I want to take this week off. I want to take this month off. And her business has continued to grow and continue to develop. And her goals are more and more time and more trips and more quality of life. It's a beautiful thing. So here's a story I think many of you can relate to. Here's Candace Kolb's good life story.
Hi, I'm Candace Kolb, and I've been in real estate for 9 years. Yeah, I was working in a job that just wasn't a good fit for me, and I hated it. I would walk into the building in the morning, and I could physically feel my energy draining and my stomach turning. It was that obvious to me I was in the wrong position. When I made the decision to change over to real estate, I wanted something that had a highly relational sales aspect to it and had basically unlimited earning potential. I was studying for the test to get my license for real estate, and I met a gentleman who was actually sitting at the table during downtime and writing a note. So we started talking, and he said, "Oh, well, I do this because I'm coached by a company called Buffini & Company, and so I write a lot of notes and I make a lot of calls." And I thought, So being a good Buffini person, he gave me a card and so I could make a phone call. So I did, and within 3 weeks, I went to my first turning point. And I think Brian was about halfway through the first session, and I realized that I had just chosen the tagline for my business, which is, "It's all about relationships." Obviously, I have to go sign up because this is just a perfect match for me and my personality and the way I like to do business. So I signed up for one-to-one coaching at that very first event after the first break. So of course, in my new business, I was wanting to see instant results. Why wouldn't you? But you get a little impatient, and I started thinking, oh, when's it going to happen? When's my first sale going to hit? So I was really, really thankful that I had Misty coaching me along, saying, just keep doing your calls and your notes and popping by and having client parties and just stay the course. You're planting the seeds.
I remember my very first call with Candace. She came to that call ready to go. She just jumped right into the action steps that I gave her and was willing to trust our process.
It actually was interesting because as much as a couple months in, I might have thought, oh my gosh, what have I done? Actually, by the time the year ended up, at the end of 12 months, I was actually Rookie of the Year for my company for the entire county. So it was like, wow, how did that happen? Oh yeah, calls, notes, pop-bys. Just keep doing what you're doing.
When I heard that Candace had won Rookie of the Year, to be honest, I wasn't surprised. I mean, it was so well-deserved. She had mastered the dialogue, she really makes them her own, and she works very hard at her craft.
So 9 years into it, I'm at a much better place, which was the goal, to keep improving every year. Sales production has gone from 3 million to 27 million, a significant jump there. And again, that's a lot of that came from Misty and I doing very strategic things, just being very, very purposeful in some of the activities that we put into play.
Candace and I work very hard on her business plan every year. It's about co-creating the plan, and we always want to make sure that with production, we also have balance in life, taking time off and definitely taking vacations.
I love to take 5 to 6 weeks a year of vacation and go somewhere I've never been before, hopefully. I don't think I could do that if I wasn't working by referral, because the clients I have come to me through people who know me and trust me. And so we start off on the right foot. We start off with them knowing she's a really hard worker, she takes really good care of me, and she also deserves to have some time off and know that I've got something put in place where they're taken care of for the time I'm gone. So that allows me to live the good life, and I really appreciate that.
It's truly a pleasure to coach Candace. She is just an amazing person, and to see her success in life and in business is absolutely inspiring.
I'm Candace Kolb, and I'm living the good life.
What a neat story. And hopefully that was inspiring and encouraging to you. She started a next career, which happens for real estate. People start it as their next career, often not their first career. She got going, Rookie of the Year, built a wonderful business, and now her goals are all about travel, and her business is built to support her travel. What a great way to work by referral, live the good life. So we talked about how to be a goal-getter. We talked about why we need goals, and they have to be clear and written. We talked about why we miss our goals, and we talked about setting those SMART goals. Now, as you know, education without implementation is merely entertainment. So here are your training action steps and real estate ready tasks. On the training action steps, email your first e-report to your database. Write 3 personal notes per day. Do 7 pop-bys this week. Add 5 people to your database this week. And review the pop-by role-play video. Also, accompany an experienced agent on an appointment. Here are your real estate ready tasks. Set up a business email address. It's important that you have a separate business email address from your personal email. It also gives you a professional appearance. Many of your companies you work for will actually have an opportunity to join their email service. Next, set up a transaction management service. You know, in the world we live in today, people don't want to be limited by physical signatures and location. We're living in a high-tech world. And so you need a transaction management service. My favorite one, the one I've used for years, is DocuSign. And they're the #1 signature and agreement cloud solution. So they're fantastic. I highly recommend them. All right. Well, hopefully you had a good time with me here in this module. Hopefully you're committed to being a goal getter. Right when we finish this module, I want you to pick up your pen and write out your Just Imagine goal, okay? And it should move you. It should stir you to action. And if it does, you'll become a goal getter. Now in Module 12, I'm going to cover something real special. I'm going to talk about how to develop your offline and online strategy. We'll see you then.